The divisional round of the NFL playoffs is officially here, and this week we have a number of almost impossible games to predict. So in this video, I am going to try and do the impossible and predict every single game of the divisional round. Hit the like and subscribe button if you guys are new and enjoy the video. Let's hop into it. And we are going to begin with the Buffalo Bills going up against the Denver Broncos. So the Denver Broncos are coming off a bye week, and obviously that has a ton of huge advantages for them. They're also going to be playing in Denver with the extra elevation, with the extra rest. I would imagine that the Denver Broncos are probably the more healthy, better feeling team heading into this game. However, as we've seen throughout playoff history, and if you guys keep touch with college football, you guys would know that sometimes having that bye week can be a gift, but it can also be a bit of a curse. Having that extra little bye week does potentially pose the risk of some rust being there, given the fact you haven't played a football game in, 14 days or something like that. So for the Denver Broncos, who have been great for most of the year, but have had ups and downs, this is one of those games where it's like, you're going to have to fight for this one. This is not going to be a give me game. Yes, you're coming off a bye. Yes, you're at your home. Yes, you're probably the more healthy team. But that Buffalo Bills team is really freaking good. They have a ton of experience on their resume. They've been in tough matchups in Kansas City. They've had big time games versus Cincinnati Bengals, the Baltimore Ravens, etc., etc. So for the Denver Broncos, their key to success in this game, Bo Nix, take care of the football. Rely on your defense. The defense has to force some turnovers, has to force some stops, slow down James Cook. And the offense, to me, just has to be good enough. They're not going to win them the game necessarily, but if this offense can play well in this one with the defense playing well, that's not pretty bad English, but you get my point, then I think Denver has a chance to definitely win this game. Now, on the flip side for the Buffalo Bills, it's been a pretty weird year for the Buffalo Bills. Lots of highs, lots of lows, lots of what the hell is this team? But in this past week versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, I was really impressed with the Buffalo Bills. I thought the Jacksonville Jaguars had a legitimate chance to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, which, by the way, the Jaguars are going to be really good next year, so keep an eye on them throughout the offseason. But I really thought Jacksonville was going to win that game. In fact, that's the only game in the wild card round that I did not pick correctly. I thought that the Buffalo Bills would lose to Jacksonville, and they won that game. Buffalo's defense has some flaws, but I don't necessarily know if Bo Nix and that Denver Broncos offense will be able to expose, quote-unquote, the Buffalo Bills necessarily, their defense specifically. And with how functional and how great that offense for Buffalo can be, they're going to score points, right? It's just a matter of fact. Sure, Denver's defense will slow them down and will get some stops, maybe force a turnover or two. But Buffalo's offense, with Josh Allen, with James Cook, with those weapons and things like that, they're going to score some points. And that is ultimately going to be, of course, the key for the Buffalo Bills. Your offense has to be great in this one, and your defense just has to do their job. The defense is not great. Going up against Denver's offense, though, I don't know if Denver has the high potent offense that could scare Buffalo's defense, especially after just coming off a win versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So yeah, man, it's a tough matchup to predict here. There's a lot of different things that could go one way or the other way. In fact, basically every single one of these matchups is like, yeah, it's kind of a 50-50 toss-up. I don't know if this one is a 50-50 toss-up. I think for me right now, I definitely favor the Buffalo Bills. But with Sean Payton having an extra week of, preparation, game planning, I'm sure he's going to put together an awesome opening script, an awesome game plan, and they're going to come out firing. The crowd could be a huge factor in this one, but I'm going to rely on the experience of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to get the job done in this one. Sure, it's been an up and down season, and no, I do not trust this Buffalo Bills defense that much. But I just don't know if the Denver Broncos have enough on the offense to really seriously threaten the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills to win this one. My prediction of this one, and I'm just going to throw this one out here, I think Buffalo gets up early. I'm talking like 20-7 heading into the fourth quarter. And then I think the Denver Broncos, keep this game close, maybe tie it up late, and the Buffalo Bills go down and kick a game-winning field goal or something along those lines. Give me the experience of the Buffalo Bills to win this game. I'm going to predict a final score of 27-24 in favor of the Buffalo Bills. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Seattle Seahawks. So this is our last game on Saturday. In case you guys are unaware, the Bills-Broncos play this Saturday. Niners-Seahawks play at night on Saturday. By the way, I love the fact that we could just watch individual games, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then afterwards we also have the national championship for college football, peak weekend, and I guess a Monday as well. Specifically in this game, we've already seen this matchup twice. One early in the season, one late in the season. Early in the season, the Niners put belt to ass versus the Seahawks. Late in the season, the Seahawks put belt to ass against the Niners. The Niners, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, they are just a crippled team from top to bottom. and they're playing their ass off. I give them so much credit for making it into the divisional round. I think you have to run immediately to give Kyle Shanahan the Coach of the Year award. I think he's been awesome this year. Robert Saleh has done incredible things too. We're talking no Fred Warner. George Kittle's missed most of the season, and he's going to be out in this one because he, of course, tore his Achilles and probably going to be out all of next year too, which is just terrible. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Kittle, Trent Williams was banged up towards the end of the season. Your quarterback was out for a big chunk of the year. No Brandon Ayuk, injuries to Ricky Pearsall, just all over this entire team. It just injury after injury after injury after injury. And unfortunately, it kind of caught up to them late in the season versus Seattle. And I think it's going to catch them here again versus Seattle. Seattle has a formula for success. Number one, kind of like Denver, they're coming off a bye. They should be as healthy as they've been in a long time. They're playing in one of the loudest stadiums in football. And they're going to have an extra week to game plan, which for Mike Macdonald, that's a huge advantage. The Seahawks really do not have a major flaw. I mean, if there is a major flaw, it is the fact that if you can get Sam Darnold off his spot, specifically in the interior, then he might start to throw some interceptions. But San Francisco's defensive line without Nick Bosa, and honestly, even with Nick Bosa, I don't know if they have the guys up the middle that can even get any sort of pressure on Sam Darnold. Now, the Seahawks offensive line, specifically in the interior, has some flaws to it, but I don't know if necessarily they're going to be able to get after Darnold in this game. So I expect Darnold to be able to sit back, get the ball to his playmakers, JSN, Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, Shaheed, their tight ends, etc., etc. And I just feel like Seahawks offense should be really solid in this game. And then on the defensive side of things, I think they're going to be great as well. Without George Kittle out there, we'll see who plays receiver for this team. I love Jawan Jennings, by the way. I think he's a stud. If they can limit Christian McCaffrey and make life difficult on Brock Purdy, which they did in their final game, then yeah, that's a huge advantage towards Seattle. Seattle has the playmakers on offense, the quarterback who's playing really good football, the run game that supports them with an awesome offensive coordinator, and defensively, you have a genius defensive coordinator, a great pass rush, a great set of linebackers, a great secondary that has some flaws, but still their secondary is pretty sharp. A Nicky Monwari, everyone. It's just such a complete football team. And then you also add on all the advantages of having the bye week. And it's just like, this is a tough task for the San Francisco 49ers. If San Francisco is to win this game, it's going to be because of Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. Those two guys have to take over in this game because I don't know if defensively they're going to be able to consistently slow down Seattle. Although I'll give them their flowers. They kind of slowed down Seattle in their last game. This is a bit different because it is a playoff game. You're going to be in Seattle. They've had a week of preparation. So I expect Seattle to score some points. And so it's going to come down to San Francisco's offense to overcome a potentially high-potent Seahawks offense. They have to score points. McCaffrey has to get going in this one. Guys like Jawan Jennings and whoever else might be around him have to play well. George Kittle's not going to be out there. The backup tight ends, they got to play well, which they've done so in his absence. So it's going to be a big game, man. It's going to be a big game. I am obviously leaning towards the Seattle Seahawks in this one. I just feel like there's so many things going against San Francisco that if somehow, some way they win this game, it would be, in my opinion, one of the biggest coaching masterclasses ever. And Mike Macdonald is not a slouch. He is an awesome football coach. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be ready. They're not going to overlook San Francisco, and they're going to get the job done here. So I am predicting Seattle to win this game. I honestly believe this is going to be kind of a lower score, kind of like the final game of the season between the two. I think this would kind of be one of those lower scoring games where Seattle is just able to put together more drives. Also, last little key here for Seattle, score when you get into the red zone. If you score touchdowns in the red zone, this game shouldn't be that close. But if they kick field goals and San Francisco just kind of hangs around, you're going to leave the door open. So I'm going to predict Seattle to close the door and not allow San Francisco to win. I think San Francisco puts up a fight, but when it comes down to it, I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to say 26-17 in favor of Seattle. Next up, we have the Houston Texans going up against the New England Patriots. This was one of those games where I had to sit around and really think about this one. And by the way, I had to sit down and think about basically every single one of these games, but this one specifically and the next game we're going to talk about, I really had to sit down and think about it quite hardly and for a long amount of time. Houston's defense is awesome. It's been awesome the entire season. From a schematic standpoint, from a personnel standpoint, from the secondary to the defensive line to everything about Houston, that defense is unbelievable. And on the offensive side, yeah, it was a slugfest early on versus Pittsburgh. They were making a ton of mistakes. They just weren't playing clean football. But once they started to clean up their act and actually play like it was the playoffs, that offense came to work and they scored a ton of points towards the back end of the game. We've seen Houston's offense kind of be up and down for most of the season, especially early. It was down for the most part. As the year progressed, the offense got better and better and better. It's still, and this is, I think, a pretty fair thing to say here, it's still probably the worst offense within this playoff group. It's probably between them and like Denver, I would suppose, but I would say that Houston probably has maybe the worst offense of these 8 football teams. But I don't think it's really that close. Houston's defense is by far and away the best defense here, even better than the Denver Broncos, who also have a great defense. By the way, how peak would it be if we got a Denver-Houston matchup in the AFC Championship game? We talk about 2 elite defenses. That would be kind of cinema for defensive fans. But no, Houston's defense is the best in the field, and I don't think it's particularly that close. It's between them and Denver. And they also have a lot more experience than the New England Patriots. Now, the Patriots are kind of a combination of older players who have some veteran experience to them with younger guys too. But in the major positions, CJ Stroud has multiple playoff games under his belt. He's won a lot of them as well. Compare that to Drake May, who has never played in a playoff game before. It does kind of pose the question of how much experience matters to you as a, I guess, analyst or predictor, whatever you want to term me as. And I do believe that experience does matter in the playoffs. I think it does. I don't think it's the say-all, be-all by no means. But I think when it comes down to it, like, I can just kind of trust Stroud to do his job. I'll be honest with you, I don't really take much from Stroud's struggles against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I frankly don't think they cared about Pittsburgh in a way. Like, I kind of believe they overlooked Pittsburgh and just sort of said, yeah, we're going to beat this team, which they did. But I don't know if offensively they put together their best game, especially early on. I expect that offense to be a lot more sharp in this one. I'm not expecting crazy shenanigans. I think they're going to play it straight up, trust their defense, run the football, give CJ some open passes, get him into a rhythm, and then they can start taking shots to their weapons on the outside. Now, we'll see what happens with their receiving core. I know there's some injuries there. That could be a major, X factor as to whether or not they win or lose this game. But I think Houston's got a great chance. Now, on the flip side for the New England Patriots, it's been an awesome year for this team. They had a big-time win versus the LA Chargers. I do believe you saw a little bit of that inexperience from the Patriots offense in that game versus Los Angeles. We saw Drake May get brought down multiple times. He had some fumbles. He missed a couple throws. You kind of saw the inexperience of Drake May. With that said, you also saw moments of brilliance from Drake May. He had a couple dimes out there, and I think him having that game versus the Chargers is sort of a good way for him to get a bit of experience while on the job. So while I did talk about how Houston has the experience factor, now that the Patriots have played a game, have gotten their toes wet, have got their feet wet, they shouldn't be as, let's be honest, as raw as they were in that first game versus LA, especially on the offensive side. The Patriots defense is really sharp. We saw that versus the Chargers, that their ability to get after the quarterback. I would imagine they're going to be able to get after CJ Stroud because Houston's offensive line, while better than Los Angeles, is not great themselves. So this one's a tough one to predict. When it comes down to it, I am going to predict the Houston Texans to win this game. I just think that defense for Houston is so good and has been so good the entire season that I think they're going to have a huge impact on this game. If they can get Drake May down often in this game, slow down the passing attack, slow down the rushing attack, which, by the way, they've been able to do all year, then I think Houston has a great chance of winning this game. The offense just cannot have turnovers. If they turn the ball over and they allow that Patriots team to hang around, maybe take a lead, get the crowd buzzing and things like that, that could be a massive issue for Houston. So I'm usually not a person who says that defenses win championships. I've always thought offenses win championships. But in this game, when you have a high functioning defense that is as good as Houston versus a really good offense in New England, I'm gonna predict that the defense wins this one, just because there's more experience on that side. There's a less experience with Drake May, and we saw Drake May struggle in the wild card round. Not struggle the entire game, but have struggling moments. So give me the Houston Texans to win this one. I think we get a back and forth, lower scoring game. I'm gonna predict 23-20 in favor of the Houston Texans. And lastly, we have the Chicago Bears facing off and squaring off against the Los Angeles Rams. So this one's another one of these really tough ones because I have always been on the side of the Rams for most of the year. I've been like, yeah, I think the Rams are the best team in football. I've said that the entire season. Go back to a lot of my videos. You guys would have seen that I have been on the glaze fest of the Los Angeles Rams. I've been pretty certain that they were going to represent the NFC. But as the year progressed, as we got towards like the final, 6 or 7 games, I'm sorry, I had to do it, of the season, you started to see the Rams have issues, you could say. They didn't play as well. They were a bit more inconsistent. You had that game versus Seattle where you gave up the big lead. You had that weird game versus the Atlanta Falcons, that weird game versus the Carolina Panthers, a back and forth game versus the Detroit Lions. Like, you started to see the Rams be a little bit more volatile compared to what they were looking like earlier in the season, where early on you take away the blocked field goal against Philly. Like, that was a pretty great start for the Los Angeles Rams. And it kind of in the last like 6 or 7 games of the year, you started to see some flaws pop up for the Rams. Now, I will say in this one, the Chicago Bears can't play a fourth quarter game. They got to play a 4-quarter game. If they don't show up for the entire 4 quarters, the Rams are going to win this game. And I think they're going to win this game handily. But if the Bears show up the entirety of the game, then I obviously think they have a chance. And by the way, if the Bears are, let's say, down in the 4th quarter, let's say 21-14 or 24-17, something along those lines, Chicago has been there, done that. I feel like they'd have a great feeling and a great chance of winning that game if they can just get the game in the 4th quarter, which is, to me, my number one key for the Chicago Bears. Now, let me finish my thought here on the Rams. We'll talk about the Bears here in a second. If you are the Rams, you have to take this game over early, in my opinion. If you allow this game to get into the 4th quarter, that is a problem, in my opinion, because we've seen this Chicago Bears team, whether you believe it or not, they have done it over and over and over again the entire season, where even when things are not going their way, look at that Packers game. They were not good for most of that game. All they needed was a chance in the 4th quarter, and they've done it a lot throughout the season. They're called the Cardiac Bears for a reason. If they can get into the 4th quarter, that's a massive issue for Los Angeles. Another thing, there's been some statistics rolling around about the Rams' record, specifically Matthew Stafford's record as of late in the cold. It's going to be a cold game in Chicago, in their stadium. When you're in Los Angeles, kind of like the Miami Dolphins, where you're in Miami, you're going to be typically playing in nice, fair weather. Now you're going to be going over to the north. Now you're going to be going over to the Chicago Bears territory in their trap, and it's going to be cold and frigid. And while obviously Stafford has played years and years and years in that division, he hasn't done it lately, right? He hasn't been there lately. So we'll see. There's a couple of things going against Los Angeles. Look, I still think Los Angeles has a great chance of winning this game. They have Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford, who might be the MVP. They have Kyron Williams, great defense. I think there's a lot of things going for that team. Now on the Bears side of things, this has to be a 4-quarter game. You just got to get into the 4th quarter with a close enough game, right? Again, if you enter the 4th quarter down, less than 10 points, you're probably feeling okay if you're a Bears fan, because you've shown throughout the entire season, even when the game feels lost, this Bears team can put it together. They can get stops. They can force turnovers. The offense can get rolling. They have the special teams, things like that. That's what you got to do in this game. Make this game get into the 4th quarter with either a lead, a close game, or a make-upable distance. You feel me? I think Los Angeles, while they have a great defense, I do think they're a little susceptible in the passing game. They have some corners that, let's be honest, are a little bit undersized, and I don't know if they really have the athleticism to match up with some of the younger cats that the Chicago Bears have. Expect guys like Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze to make some plays out there, to have a lot of opportunities. Caleb Williams has to get the ball out on time. He has to play within the system like he has for a big chunk of the year. But when, obviously the play breaks down, make your Caleb magic happen. And that's what we've seen him do all year. Man, this is a tough one to predict because, again, I have been on the Rams side of things, predicting them to win almost every single game the entire year. But I feel like now I'm kind of like, I think Chicago can win this game. It's going to be in their stadium. They're coming off a massive in-division game versus the Green Bay Packers. And sure, the Bears have not been great against high-level football teams throughout the year. But damn it, there's so much confidence brewing within that team. I think Ben Johnson is a hell of a coach. I know that you can maybe say, well, the Rams have the experience factor. They've been there. They've done that. Chicago's the new kid on the block. That is totally fair. And I definitely think that could take place here. I just believe right now, I think Chicago wins this game. I don't know. I'm going to predict Chicago to win this one. I could be completely wrong and the Rams could win it and I'll look stupid after this, but I'm going to predict the Chicago Bears to win this one. I think they make this game 4-quarter game. They get this thing into the 4th quarter, and I think like they've done all year, they get the job done in the 4th. I think there should be opportunities in the passing game. They should be able to run the football at least decently enough to stay balanced. And while I don't know if their defense is going to be great in this one, I do think they can force a turnover or two, which could be the X factor of this game. Turnovers, as they are for most football games. This is the one game I expect to be a quote-unquote shootout per se. I'm not necessarily expecting 50-50, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get high 30s in this sort of game. So I'm going to predict the Chicago Bears to win this one. I'm going to go with 38-34 in favor of the Chicago Bears. But guys, this is my predictions for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. You guys let me know in the comment section below, what do you agree with and what do you disagree with? And if you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like and subscribe button. Love you guys. Peace.